Mic check.
Yeah, I think I'm up. Yeah.
Right on. I was just on the phone with John. We were discussing some interesting things going on.
Okay, I guess I haven't been following much. I've been kind of like bouncing from room to room today just to see what the fuck was happening.
Well, every Saturday we've been holding this space, so just it's usually on early vote action, civil liberties, and Constitution, Bill of Rights amendments, things like that. What's going on politically, voting strategies. Right now, I mean, we've had several weeks where we've gone over civil liberties and these topics. We even had Scott Pressler speak in one of our rooms. But the thing is every week I still talk early vote action as a pathway possibly to securing an election or elections.
I know. I've listened to some of the spaces. Uh, you know, I don't know. I do remember. I think last week I was in the space for a little bit of the week before, but I just had something I was thinking of. Oh yeah, look, if you don't mind, I'll just play security for today. You probably won't get much out of me until I wake up more. I'm only on my first cup of coffee.
Yeah, just sit back. I got the mics. Marlon can take care of some stuff and just relax. It's a slow warm up. So please sit tight and no worries. I got the mics. You don't need to drop people down or anything. I got security. Thanks.
Oh, cool. All right. So I'm looking at your head. That's all right. Oh, by the way, we both screwed Sir Good last night, you know.
Could you skip that topic for me, please? Thanks.
Oh, sure. I was just going to say we both fell asleep on him. I thought it was funny.
No, actually, I didn't fall asleep. I dropped down and left. So it's cool, man. I got it. Morning, Jamie. Morning, Advocate. Just. How you doing, Contessa? Everyone. Felicity. Hey, good morning. Hey, Marlon, radio check, mic check.
Yep, I'm here.
Awesome.
Iceman, Advocate, Texas, Felicity, Testa, Deb. Good to see all of you. Yeah, lots happening, huh? Lots and lots happening.
Jamie, what's up, brother?
I just wanted to tell you, beautiful people, good day. Say hello. I think we're going to have a visitor in our space tomorrow. I've invited them. They said they would come. So we'll see how that works out. I don't know if y'all been following what we've been going around and around over there, but it's been interesting.
Well, it's always cool when you got a guest speaker that can come in, and it's gonna help Noah and have a good discussion about stuff. I'm sure it's important, so I can't wait. We are going to be holding it at 3:00 tomorrow. So that's whatever time zone you're in. It's Eastern. It would be 3 hours difference.
Yes, sir. I done got it and shared it out, brother.
Yeah, I just think Mike and some of the team keep coming a little bit later because they're transferring the time in their head, and I don't know. So we've been having miscommunication on what time it is. So it's every Sunday at 3 so far, and we're gonna keep it there until we change it.
That's 7 Eastern, correct?
No, 6 Eastern.
Okay, I'll be sure to let them know.
Yeah, well, the invite itself, it should change to the time zone you're in. So if you go and you set a reminder, it should be in your time. So you don't have to do any math. The Twitter does it for you, wherever you're at when you look at it. Advocate, Where are you going? Felicity, what's up? How you doing?
Good afternoon. Yeah, because I set a reminder for this room and it showed up at 1 o'clock, which is Eastern, which is my time zone.
Yeah, Marlon, did you guys have an earlier morning coffee space today with bacon or
Yeah.
something on top? Or are you going to do that tomorrow?
Well, we did it this morning with Alan.
Right on. How'd that go? Well, we got some people showing up.
I was in there for a little bit and then it turned to like Dogecoin and cryptocurrency and stuff like that. And that's a foreign language to me. So I left at that point because I didn't understand a word of it.
Well, yeah, that's a whole other thing. If we get into crypto, if Gen X I can't remember if it's Gen X or whatever. This guy that he comes in sometimes. He talks Bitcoin. I mean, if we want to really talk about that, but yeah, it's a trippy subject. I got a couple things that Marlon and I were talking about. Hopefully, my functions and features will allow me to share this stuff in the nest. So interestingly enough, a lot of that smoke that was hitting the eastern coast, it actually affected, not just commercial aviation, but it also affected the military bases, which kind of makes you think that, it actually was more of a national security threat than just an uncomfortable situation for the citizens or even a health hazard. It actually affected the military, which puts it up on a scale beyond just the health aspect to definitely a national security threat. But not just that, right now we're at a peak as far as military activity at the moment. Things are really ramping up across the Navy, Air Force, you name it, it's ramping up. So there's something going on right now with that. But we were also talking about some other interesting stuff. Not quite the AI, but Marlon and I could kind of have real surreal conversations. I mean, sometimes you just start a conversation on the phone, it goes a lot of different places. But, we were I was talking to him about the whale thing. And then I was like, well, they're making, robot dolphins. They're making robot animals. I mean, and this goes beyond what you see in the news where you see a dog. I'm talking about a literal animal that you would not know the difference if this was a dolphin or if it was a robot. And it'll swim around, it'll do all the things a dolphin does. And then I thought, well, okay, if we lose the dolphins because of these wind projects or lose the whales, is it maybe that these people that are doing this, they're sleeping at night, feeling warm and fuzzy still because they just feel like, well, that's okay. We're already making those. We're already making dolphins. Why would I worry about dolphins? We're already making dolphins. Or why would I worry about the bees for that matter? We're making bees. We don't need bees. I don't worry about the bees at night because we're making those. And, wait, what about people? I don't worry about people because we're making those. So I think it kind of started a while ago. I started to look at everything around me and I said to myself, everything is disposable. I'm entering into, there's nothing precious. We've gone into a consumer age where everything we own is crushable, destroyable, and disposable. It's not special. You go to IKEA, nothing there in that furniture is special. But you look at maybe your grandma's house. Remember back in the day when you'd see some real furniture that was made by real people, and it was a real craftsman that made that. So as we get into this age where everything is just disposable and it expires and it's of no consequence, and it made me think about everything, and it's almost like even we are of no consequence. And so that's how these people sleep at night. I'm going to just land it there. It's a long thought. It's a big weird trip in my head that I think about. But anyways, Felicity, what do you got?
Oh, I agree with you, Mega. It's like I've been seeing things about genetically modified bugs, but yet they're pressing that we eat the bugs because they're healthier for the planet. Well, if they're genetically modified, then how are they healthier? And I'm sorry, I'll eat a natural bug before I'll eat anything genetically modified, whether it be plant or animal based or bug based. And if anybody thinks that the robots and technology that we're seeing now as civilians is all they've got, I think that's where people get tied up. They think we're seeing the newest stuff. No, we're still seeing 30 years behind what they've got, at least.
No, precisely. Whatever you're seeing is just what they want you to see. There's a lot more stuff that you haven't seen. I posted some stuff up top. AI is something that a lot of people worry about. We've talked about robots on the ground, but the way I got to the ocean was because they're now releasing a military sub that really doesn't need anybody on it. Could probably be nuclear powered. So it could stay out for indefinitely, be controlled remotely, be giving commands. So that's where I got into the animals, because they do have these animals. The premise is always to make you feel warm and fuzzy. Okay, so the premise of making animals that are robots was because it's cruel to have animals at the zoo. Right? It's just cruel to have an animal locked in a cage for our entertainment like that. Yeah, thanks. Anyways, so the premise was we're going to make these animals so that we can not harm animals. But the reality is, what if you just replaced animals with robots? I mean, the planet, you wouldn't even know the difference.
But biologically, it would upset the ecosystem, if not right away, eventually, because those robots aren't eating the same things the dolphins do. They aren't balancing out the food chain in the same way.
Well, that's when we were talking about, well, what does a dolphin do? What does a whale do? What do these animals do? And that's why I said the bees, because the bees pollinate. That's what they do. They pollinate, and they're pollinators. I mean, they do other things, but predominantly that's what we rely on them for. And up in the nest, I posted an AI bee concept. I think I put it up there. It's one of the robotics, the first thing on the right. But they're working on this where they can program a small little insect-like thing to fly around and do that for the bees. So, you talk about the ecosystem, and so when I was talking about in the water, what would they do there to make the robot imitate the creature it's imitating? As long as they can do that, the ecosystem remains. I mean, they can even figure out a way to have a robot digest and produce excrement, which is exactly the same as the animal, if you want to get that deep. The technology is going to a place where they can literally imitate life. Advocate?
So I just posted in, I'm not sure if anybody saw that 60 Minutes. I think it was last summer, called Birds Aren't Real. And it's it pertains to what you were talking about. So there was this group that started Birds Aren't Real, and their whole concept is that birds are actually like tracking devices and cameras and stuff by the government, and that it's controlling, the 5G, 4G, whatever those number G's are we are on right now. And that when they're perched on like power lines, how they control things and stuff. It was very interesting. So I just posted the link to that down in the bubble. And then I just wanted to say hi and happy Saturday, everyone.
Yeah. Well, we're just warming up. It's an open discussion. Christian Lamar has come into the room. Good morning, Christian. For the last probably 5 or 6 Saturdays, we've talked about civil liberties, the Constitution, Bill of Rights, amendments, and then early vote action. Last week, we talked about Arizona and the GOP and what you've been working on. So what's going on, Christian? How are things?
Good morning. How are you all doing? There's a lot going on in our state now. So I just shared today, and you'll find this on my pinned tweet at the top of my profile, that we now have had our third and fourth article written on the election integrity censures. And the first publication is at the Arizona Republic. I mean, that's the biggest newspaper in the state of Arizona. They've talked about it, and then the Arizona Capital Times has now talked about it as well. That's a pretty large publication as well. I will also say too that since we started this effort at the beginning of the year, we had a lot of folks who were naysayers, who said that censures don't mean anything. It's not going to change anything. It's not going to be covered by the media. And I can tell you that because I've talked several times about how actual members of the Arizona state legislature, Republicans in the AZ state legislature, have reached out to me. But also, even like this morning, if you go to my pinned tweet, on that tweet there is a AZ state senator and an AZ state representative that has replied to the tweet that I posted this morning. So as I told you in this room, the Republican AZ state legislature is watching my tweets. They're watching what I'm saying on social media. So is the media. The media is also watching what I'm saying. So that just goes to show the real power that we have. And then I would also say too that I hear a lot of people now that are talking about being precinct committeemen and precinct chairs and getting involved in the party. But there's got to be action behind that, because I would just say that, like, for example, in Maricopa County, we have around 3,700 Republican precinct committeemen. Democrats only have somewhere around 1,700 or something to that effect. So we've already double what the Democrats have as far as PCs are concerned. But the problem is when people become PCs, they're not being activated. They're not telling the party apparatus is not showing the PCs, this is what you need to do to be involved. This is how you hold the elected officials accountable. This is how you get them out of office before election day. This is how you stop them from moving up the ranks into the political system. This is how you make the politicians fear the people. So that is not happening on the ground. So it's got to be more than just telling people to become a PC. And really, I would even say a lot of the things that I'm doing now, I was already doing before I became a PC. So I was already appearing on C-SPAN or on Laura Ingraham or on Larry Elder. I wasn't a PC at that point. And even when I wrote my first censure, I wasn't a PC. I was just a Republican voter. So we've got what we need to do is we've got to get the MAGA deplorables and the Trump base and Republicans and independents and Democrats that vote red, we've got to get those people to get activated. More than just them signing up as a PC, we need them activated. Because when they're activated, they eventually they will become a PC. But we need them to do action on the ground. Thank you.
Yeah, it's almost like it's an inevitable evolution if you're doing the work that you're doing. It's an inevitability that's going to end there, or it should go there if you want to really make a difference. I got to go to Marlon, and then I want to welcome John to the floor. Good morning, and everyone. Just a reminder: if you don't retweet the space, no one will be here to hear what you have to say. So please retweet the space so people can come in and hear your voice. Marlon, yes, sir.
So, Christian, I had spoken to one of my legislature's chief of staff this morning about this particular thing. You know, in my county, one of two counties based in Camden County, Gloucester County adopted this where now the GOP chair has the N word and is no longer in the PC's ability to put that. I'm talking candidates. I'm talking bills that they put forward to the county. The county chair has the ultimate rule now, and I was blown away to hear that this morning.
And that just has to do with what the party inside of your own county or your own state or districts are allowing. Even let's say the state conventions. Okay, everything that happens inside of the state convention and inside of the annual meetings are only allowed per the PCs that are in attendance. So that ultimately is decided by what do the PCs allow? Do they allow the government to dictate down to them, or do they take control of the government? So that can be stopped at a grassroots level, but the PCs, and this is where the PCs being educated on their power, that's where that comes in. Once they understand the power and control that they have, and they're no longer asking the government for permission. They're not going to their elected officials and saying, may I hold you accountable? May I throw you out of office? That's what's happening. We have to stop asking our elected officials for permission to throw them out of office. And we need to stop waiting until election day to do that.
So, Christian, to your point, when you only have 45% of your districts filled with participation, how are we going to save America? This is the sell job that I'm. So my responsibility now is that I need to fill those PC positions that we can take our power back. That's what you just told me.
Right. Yep. And while you're filling the spots, you're simultaneously you're educating them on what their power is. And I just had a conversation this morning with a couple of precinct committee women, because we were talking about, okay, we need to get a hold of this particular legislative district because we felt that that we should have more PCs that were represented just in this district. So what we were discussing is, well, how would we like to bring them into the fold? Do we want to just sign them up, or do we want to educate them first on the power that they have? And the other thing too is the voters are more educated than, or excuse me, the voters are more motivated than the precinct committeemen are. The voters are more eager to throw out the incumbents or the elected officials that are not doing their job. So if we just get a small portion of voters to get activated, those folks who are coming into the party structure as a new PC, they're going to be very motivated to do the actions. But having that doing the and this is in our bylaws. voter education, voter engagement, voter participation, and voter contact. If we're doing those things, people will become PCs. But again, that's another hint or a clue that the parties are not doing those principles in the bylaws: voter participation, voter education, voter contact, and voter engagement.
Thank you so much, Christian. Everything you said is 100% spot on. John, welcome to the floor. John, please. John, did you hear me?
I got total silence. I may be glitching here. Somebody speaking?
Yeah, hold on. Tell him I'll drop him down.
Just drop you right down, John. Just come right back up. All right.
Feed me. Welcome.
Hey, Mega Ice, Marlon. So I have a question to ask you, Christian. I have heard, listening to Spaces, I have heard both sides of this voting thing. I listened to Spaces with Scott Pressler on it, and he encourages people to vote early, get out there so that, you can be, somebody can, if you don't vote, somebody can go and say, hey, you haven't voted yet. Why haven't you voted? And keep track of that kind of stuff and encourage that and not wait till the last second because, or the day of, because, so many things can go wrong just like they did in Arizona. And then I've heard Spaces with people who are hardcore Trump supporters who are pushing this. Don't let the Democrats know what you're going to do. Only the day of election day. Never let them whatever. Only election day. That's it. Period. Don't let them fool you into anything. It's starting. I'm on the side of voting early. I have voted early for a long time because I feel like that voting early for me gives people an opportunity to come back and find out, hey, it's not quite election day yet, but you haven't voted. They could at least call me and say, hey, are you going to vote this year? But if that doesn't happen, if it's just election day only, then they don't have that option or they can't do that. So I'm kind of confused. What way are we going? I mean, with hardcore people on both sides of that issue, I'm starting to get very confused about what we should do. Same day, early voting. What is it? Thank you.
Thank you, Patricia. And that's a great question. I would say this, and I mean, I could say some things about Scott, but I'm not. I'm going to just answer your question. So I'm going to say that it really doesn't matter because if the county is not following the election laws, whether your vote is submitted early or on election day, they can get out of not counting your vote. If the county is not following chain of custody and everyone votes on election day or votes early as the way they're supposed to, and then at 3 a.m. in the morning the next day they slide in thousands of ballots after the fact, it would totally negate whether you vote early or vote on election day. The bottom line is whether it is the county following the election law in your state. That's the bottom line. Whether that's on signature verification or signature comparisons, as Maricopa County likes to call it now, or if it's something in regards to whether the machines are certified or if they're changing the machine configurations, whatever the case may be, if the county is not following the law, that is really the real question that we need to be asking. And so I would just say you're going to hear a lot of these folks for the next few months talk about ballot chasing and ballot harvesting and all these other different things. But at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is the county following the law, and is the legislature ensuring that the county follows the law, because the legislature is in charge of the election. And so the legislature has subpoena power. They have power to issue legislative warrants against the county. In some states, the county is not even protected by the Constitution. So it really comes down to those key factors. And I would also say that I understand that a lot of people are frustrated because I constantly hear that same frustration all the time. And the wrong thing to do is to try to deviate away from talking about these issues that we're talking about now, because what happens is, and I'm already hearing it now. I hear folks saying, "Oh, well, we need to talk about chasing ballots, and we need to talk about ballot harvesting, and we need to figure out, you know, how to register the Democrats." Well, the voters, again, the regular everyday people, they're looking to the party to see what the party is saying about the stolen elections. And if the voters don't see that or hear that, it makes them not want to participate. So the party has to figure out how to do both. And this goes back to the principles of voter engagement and vote. If we're doing voter engagement and voter contact, we don't have to worry about when the ballot is submitted, whether it's submitted on election day or before election day. If our voters are contacted and engaged, and they're encouraged to participate, and they have a relationship with their precinct committeeman or their state committeeman or their county chair, if we're doing those things, all of these other logistical issues will resolve themselves, and we'll have enough people that are also putting the pressure on the election officials who are the legislature to make sure that the election is held fairly.
Thank you very much.
After the long-awaited recovery of John Fisher, John, attention. Can we have your attention, please? John Fisher's on the floor.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Maga. Yeah, the blood was draining out of both arms and legs. um, Christian, what Christian just said is spot on. I'm a committee man, and where I find a double-edged sword, this precinctstrategies.com guy, can't remember his name, and people like him are, and I'm not saying Christian is doing this. He's not, because he just spelled out the bylaws of his REC and what's expected of the committee men when they come in. But the precinctstrategies.com, I heard him speak on other spaces, and he's basically putting the word out there. 2 hours every 2 months. You come to a 2-hour meeting. That's it. That's all required of you. And you know, making it seem like that's, you know, you just wanting people with a pulse to sit in a seat every 2 months for a 2-hour meeting. That's the feeling I get. And I think that's where we fall short. I know there's lots of empty seats, and we got to fill those seats, but not just because somebody has a pulse and they're breathing, you know, and that's all that's expected of them. Christian spelled out some bylaws of what they want each committee man to be achieving in between those 2 months, between those 2-hour meetings. There's got to be things done, and I want to tie that also to voters. You know, when people are complaining about this evil politician and this corrupt politician, you know, and I voted for that guy. Well, if you voted for that guy, you went in and pulled the lever, and then you went back to sleep and didn't keep an eye on him, didn't go to a commission meeting or a school board meeting throughout the 2 or 4 years that guy was corrupt, then you're just as much to blame. You didn't stay active. You didn't keep an eye on him. You didn't participate in your government in being governed. So that's just my opinion. But yeah, I just wanted to throw that in. And thanks for the mic, Maga. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and you're right. You're right that, you know, just going to a 2-hour meeting and sitting inside of 4 walls, that's not going to cut it. It's kind of like with the church, okay? We have so many churches on so many blocks around the country, and the church sits inside of their 4 walls for an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours, and they're not getting out into the community to outreach or to go out into the world and share what their message or what their gospel actually is. That's a problem. And the only way that you solve that is by getting outside of those four walls. We cannot, the party, the meetings that we have, and I've brought this up too for the last 4 years. I brought it up to 4 different legislative district chairs of Republican committees. I said, we need to change our meetings. We need to go outside the four walls for an hour. Utilize, if we've got 75 people in this room, then half of us need to be outdoor knocking. The other half could be doing something else if they can't walk. And none of them wanted to take the action. So the party is stuck in its ways. They think that if they just keep doing the same exact thing and keep the same broken format and bring in some of the same people to give some of the same types of speeches, that's going to get the vote out. No, it's not. What's going to get the vote out is if we are activating those PCs in the meeting and take one of those 2-hour meetings or maybe half of those 2-hour meetings throughout the year and go out into a precinct and hit 1,000 voters in under 2 hours. That's how you get things done.
Spot on, Christian. We got some hands. We're going to keep rolling through the hands. Feed me. Oh, to people down below, if you'd like to come up and speak, you can go ahead and request a mic and we'll rotate you up and in. But we do have kind of a controlled nest, so please respect the hands and please do not interrupt other speakers. And yeah, if you speak out of turn, we'll have to just remove you from the speaker's nest. Thank you. And other things to remember, please don't go posting a lot of things up in the nest. You can request permission to do that. Put things down in the comments section, no problem. That's free to use. Feed me, advocate.
So one thing that we did in my town for the most recent local election was to connect with our senior center and some of the nursing homes in the community to get them out early to vote, made it an actual outing event, and then went to the 99 for lunch after. But it definitely, that population generally votes more than the younger generation, but you saw them out in the community, and then in turn, when their kids came or their grandkids came to visit, they would tell them about their day, and a light bulb went off and they would go and do early voting. So that was just one silly thing we kind of came up with to try to drum up more voters in my community. And then I have a question for everybody. So one of my friends voted early for our local election in April, went down to town hall. They had her show an ID, which in Massachusetts, we do not show IDs to vote. They, gave her the ballot. She filled it out. Then they gave her an envelope that she was required to put her name, address, and telephone number on, which she thought was odd, but she was in a rush, so she just did it anyway. Has anybody ever heard of that, or if that's not legal, but ethical, whatnot? She was very worried because she had voted for me, and she figured people would see her name, open it, see that she voted for me, and somehow her ballot would get lost, which is likely. But yeah, we all think it's kind of odd in our community, and we asked our town clerk, and we didn't quite get an answer. We got passed around.
Well, it doesn't sound like things are being transparent there. I have to know a little bit more information, but it sounds odd to me. Can we circle back on that and maybe talk about that in a second? Feed me.
Okay, so I have voted Republican since I could start voting. I voted for Ronald Reagan. That's how old I am. as the first time I voted for president. However, after 2016, after Trump was elected, I went independent because I did not like how the GOP was, some of the old guard in the GOP was treating Trump, and the whole Russia stuff with McCain and whatever. It just irritated the snot out of me. So I became an independent. And in the interim, since I have moved to another county in North Carolina, my son and daughter-in-law, we all have a large house together. They have also, both of them have always voted Republican. They are both independents. And you know what? No one, not Democrat or Republican, no one has knocked on our door yet to even say, hey, are you interested in joining the GOP? We see you voted Republican this entire time. Would you be, is there anything that we can do to bring you back to the GOP? Not one single knock on my door. Not one single knock on my door from the Democrats either, probably because they've seen my voting record and they know they don't have a chance. But you would think somebody in the air, this is a very nice area and they have a GOP. I know exactly where it is. And I thought about driving over there and saying, hey, what's your problem? You haven't even attempted to get me to join your party. I mean, I was a member of the Republican Party for many years. And you don't care? I'm in your neck of the woods, or maybe you just assume that I'm going to vote for you. I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there as a concern, because how many other independents would join the GOP if somebody would make an effort to go and, I don't know anybody. I'm new to this area. They could have knocked on my door. They could have had somebody who help them out down at GOP headquarters. Somebody else who could have called, make phone calls, but you don't even care about me. So, anyways, I'm just throwing that out there.
100% spot on. That is exactly what I have heard when I go to doors, whether in an upscale neighborhood or apartment complexes, condos, townhomes, older home communities. That's what I've heard, and that tells me that the party is not following their bylaws that tell us that we need to do voter education, voter contact, voter participation, and voter engagement. When we're not doing those things, we're only hurting our own selves, because the regular everyday voters, they're looking for that. And they're looking to the party. They're looking for a response, or what is the party saying on certain key issues or current events. So that's a real problem. You're 100% correct.
Do you think that it's literally the digital age that is making people disconnect and not do these things? Just they're not paying attention, or I mean, it would seem that. On the other hand, it seems like this forum right here gives you, Christian, the ability to talk to everyone all over the world or wherever they are. But yeah, I don't know if this is just a condition of the digital age, or I mean, they have all this information that's available to them because of the digital age. So you'd think they'd make that effort. It's just baffling. TC has joined us. TC, before we get to you, brother, I got to go to Elvin. He's been patient. He's been polite. Elvin, please, welcome to the floor.
Welcome. Thank you very much. I'll be very brief. The first thing is just a two-part thing. First thing is, we know the Democrats steal elections. We know they're always going to steal elections, and we know there's nothing we can do to really stop them from stealing elections. I don't even get what the purpose of doing an election anymore is. Why invest the energy? Second part is, I'm kind of upset that Hillary Clinton didn't get locked up. We can see that whenever the Democrats are in power, they will go after their enemies for putting them into jail or going after them through the court system where it's rigged, and they will do what they've done to Donald Trump, as we can see now. But this does not happen when Republicans are in power. I don't know if it's cowardice or if they just don't have the gall to do it, or if it's just all a grift, if it's all a lie, and they just say that just to get it elected. It's really upsetting to see so many Democrats are the most correct people on earth. Everyone in this space agrees with it. Yet when Republicans are in power, nothing gets done about it. Very frustrating. For that reason, I've sworn off voting, and I'll never vote for anybody ever again in my life.
You know, that's a sentiment that I think a lot of Americans have, is that the voting doesn't matter and that everything's, a sham. I see a lot of people. Well, actually, when I first started on Twitter, that was a big sentiment. Removing themselves from citizenship was a big talking point. There were a lot of people doing that, doing the sovereign citizen thing. There's people that were talking about not voting in federal elections. Some of those people still voted in local, but federal, they were swearing that off. And then you spoke of a two-tier justice system. And then you also spoke of the lackadaisical, Republican Party that will basically keep turning the other cheek and not use the same tactics. The problem is when they started doing this impeachment stuff and the witch hunt and all this stuff, they were stepping into unprecedented activity and using it as a weapon instead of actually using it as it was meant to be used. They were using weapons that should be reserved and sacred, and they were using them for political gains and power. And you don't see the Republicans doing that. You're correct. They're not trying to bastardize those things and turn them into weapons. The problem is nobody's holding the Democrats to account for doing those things. So yeah, there is something needs to be done, but the Republicans need to figure that out and do something. I don't know if it's using the same tactics. That just sets a new precedence moving forward and just really devalues the system in and of itself if they follow suit. So it has to be done tactfully.
My big question was, though, when Donald Trump, when he ran the first time, he spent months, all of us remember, saying he was going to lock Hillary up. And at the very first week he was sworn in, he's like, yeah, just forget about it. He literally went on an interview and said, yeah, just forget about it. How can we juxtapose believing him ever again when he ran on locking her up, which is why many people even voted for him, because she deserves to be locked up. No one here disagrees, I'm sure. And he immediately, once elected, said, let's let bygones be bygones.
Well, a lot of people have a lot of reasons not to like Trump, and that is one reason that I've heard actually earlier this week. So if you can you hang out? We got some hands. I want to talk to Jeff. He's been patient. And Elvin, thank you. Please just stay right there. Maybe we'll talk about some of those things. Jeff, good morning and welcome to the floor, sir.
Thank you, sir. Christian, I live in Georgia. I'm not in Arizona, but I've been watching this thing very intensely. We did get Candace Taylor elected in the first district in down south of me here, and I was wanting to ask you, have you heard or ever talked to Candace Taylor? Because what you have done in Arizona, Christian, is amazing. Okay, I've been watching you really close. You might see me hit a tweet or something, or follow you or whatever on Twitter. But I just want to tell you, sir, that I have massive respect for what you're doing out there. And I wish that you would get in touch with Candace and kind of, have a little bit of camaraderie between you guys and kind of get that same thing started here in Georgia, where I'm from. And let me tell every one of you something, just a quick statement before I get Christian's answer or a statement back. Let me say this to all of you folks. If you study Rules for Radicals, it's a book by Saul Alinsky. If you study the Marxist, the Communist Manifesto by Karl Marx, and if you really study these things, ladies and gentlemen, their objective is to make us totally submissive and not vote at all. This is what they want. They want our voices silenced. I have to tell you that, I disagree with a lot of things Trump did, but I do agree with the most that he did as far as the economic things of our country. He's a brilliant man when it comes to that, because that's all he's ever done. But, this is not a rah-rah Donald Trump thing. I'm sitting back looking at what I see. And I just wanted to put that out there. Christian, what you think about what I said earlier, sir?
Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate that, sir, and the support. I am familiar with Candace. I've seen a couple of her interviews. I do follow her on Twitter, and I don't think that she follows me back. But I did just now. I just went to her account and I just retweeted a couple of her tweets out that she posted out in the past few hours. So, but yeah, I mean, I would definitely be happy to connect with Candace, and and to work with her or whatever the case may be. I don't know any. The only contact I know in Georgia is Gerard, and I'm forgetting his last name. But I do know one person that's active in Georgia, so maybe he might be able to help me to get connected with her. I'll definitely try that. But yeah, thank you so much for sharing. And then also thank you, Gypsy and Caroline, for adding a couple of replies to my thread. So anyone here that would like to show your support for show your support against stolen elections, please go to my pinned tweet at the top of my profile, and just even if you just drop a emoji or an American flag, or if you just type "I agree," because as I told you earlier, the media is watching my tweets. They're watching them. So anything that you say about that helps us support against stolen elections, that would be outstanding and fantastic. Thank you.
Christian, and everyone in the room, I posted it up in the nest, so please go up there and do that. Also, we'll make sure to embed that tweet on the Magamission site for you, and get that into the Magamission Now news, and also on your profile page there. So I really appreciate the engagement today from everyone. A lot of great stuff. Let's keep it rolling. TC Mac has joined us this morning. Good morning, TC Mac. How are you?
Good morning, MAGA, Gypsy, Moreland, Christian. We got Scott in the house. So Feed Me really hit on a sensitive nerve about the way it used to be with the actual voter engagement. That is so critical nowadays, and it's not happening. And I think it is directly a result of the click.com, send out mass emails, don't engage anybody, don't press any flesh. And I remember my parents were Kennedy Democrats. They were both committee persons. And they were always going to events. Every other weekend it was going out, knocking on doors, engaging voters. That is critical. So yeah, I remember growing up, it was all the time. It was always going to events. It was everything else. And you just don't see that anymore. Like Feed Me said, maybe once a year, somebody will give you this robotic automated call. And it's like, yeah, you're still around. You're going to help us. You want to get involved? Give me money. So a guy like Elvin before who spoke, I look at him as a you got to get that guy back, because disappointment is contagious, and it's getting to be a real problem in the Republican Party. And that's all I got. Thank you.
Yeah, actually, it's been I don't know, maybe a month or so since I've heard somebody say I'm not going to vote anymore in elections. It's, like I said early on, maybe several months, 6 months ago, it was a big thing. You'd hear people saying that in rooms all the time, everywhere. Of course, I encourage people to continue voting and not do that. So, Marlon, please.
Another thing, if you spend more than $300 in the state of New Jersey, you get you're put on a list and it's sent to Trenton because you vote, you donated money to your Republican Party or your GOP. There's a couple of ways you can massage it depending on primary seasons. But that list goes to Trenton, and it's manipulated. It's seen. It's used. That's what people fear.
Contessa, how are you?
Good. How's everybody? Thank you, host and the two co-hosts. I appreciate all you do. And also to Scott. He knows I love him. I just wanted to say, I felt like you guys that don't want to vote, and I live in Massachusetts, but I'm going to get the strength up to vote. And we have to advocate and listen to your deep down in your soul. I know you guys really want to save the country, and you don't want to we are falling fast to communism. So if you could just please vote in your local elections and vote, even it still sends a message to Washington. If you vote in the primary, it sends a message. We are falling fast to communism. What they're doing to President Trump, and for those that, for whoever said that Trump made a big mistake not locking up Hillary, I agree with you 110%. But I think that he would be a superior and an excellent, better president in his second term because he's learned. I don't think he realized the magnitude of how he knew it was corrupted. He didn't realize it was this corrupted. Um, and I'm Italian, and I could never turn my back on this guy. It's just in my DNA. It's in my DNA. I could never turn my back on someone that for 4 years we had no wars. He cut my taxes. He kept the border safe. And we're in a lot of trouble, like a lot of trouble. And God bless you all. And I'll pray for you that don't want to vote. I totally understand where you're coming from, but I know you don't want to fall to communism, and we're falling fast. And with communism goes all your savings and your everything you've ever worked for. So God bless you all.
Well, I most certainly followed you, Contessa. I'm surprised we haven't crossed paths. Maybe we did, but God bless you too. And thank you for contributing today. Please stay with us. I'd really like to keep discussing things with you. Advocate.
All right, so it was Contessa who just talked and said that she was from Massachusetts. Sorry, I'm getting ready to go, but I was listening. I just gave you a follow back as well, similar to what Maga just said, because I'd love to connect. I'm in Massachusetts as well. Yeah, and then I forgot one other thing about my voting question earlier. So, like I said, one friend went and they made her write her name and address on the envelope. My mom voted early last November and they asked for her ID when we went into town hall, sure, but she didn't have to write her name, address, and number on an envelope when she handed her ballot back. So I forgot to add that part in the story just to see what people think. Like, our town's corrupt as it is. Our machines never work. We ran out of ballots. Like, there's always an issue. But yeah, okay, sorry about that. So if anybody has any thoughts or ideas of like what way we should go with our town hall and like the clerk and stuff to get answers.
We need to get rid of Ed Markey. I'll talk to you later.
Oh, girl, I am with you. I worked for Jeff Deal on his campaign last November. Sorry, everybody, for plugging myself there. So I'm with you. But yes, we'll connect on the back channel.
I was just with Jim Jordan in Andover. We'll connect. We got to connect.
So, hey, I just want to turn to Gypsy. I didn't hear from Gypsy yet. Gypsy, how you doing today? How's your Saturday going?
Hey, good afternoon, ladies, gentlemen. I'm doing good, Just kind of sitting out on the patio, taking a little break. Had some grandbaby stuff going on earlier, so I was excited to come in and hear the conversation. This is a very important conversation. Y'all were discussing basically blackpilling, and the previous speaker talking about throwing his hands up and not wanting to vote. You're right. I haven't heard that in a while. And I guess January 6th, that time period, during that time, I was very much feeling that way. But just, after everything that has happened with our country, it is more important that we do not give up and we do not give in, but we press harder and we press harder and we press harder. And I'm here for the fight of my life and for America. These true classic Democrats that they don't subscribe to the socialistic regime that's being put out there right now either, and they see the hypocrisy. So I think we just need to use different ways of reaching people. But anyway, good afternoon, Magamission, Matt. How are you, Marlon, Christian? Always good to see you and everyone there. Advocate TC. See Scott Pressler down there. I'm very excited to meet you. I'm in Louisiana as well, Scott. And speak with Heather. So I'd like to, I'm very excited about working with you on your mission as well. Thanks for having me in.
Yeah, good morning, Gypsy. Thank you for joining us. I'm not sure what happened with Iceman. He was up and then he disappeared. So he must have had a phone call or something. Marlon, yeah.
No, I'm good, but it was going down. We were talking voting strategies, how we're going to be able to come up with hopefully not a Trump DeSantis fight, and then where's JFK stick in the middle,
Hey guys, I got one more thing to say. I've got to go back to work. Here in my district, here in town, in my town here where I live, I've been told a couple of times. I've got out and worked with the GOP, and they said, "Well, you don't need to be talking like that to people." And all I'm doing is going over the voting records of these people. And I turned right in front of about 4 people about 3 weeks ago and talked to the guy that was in charge of the so-called canvassing thing. And I told him, I said, "Let me tell you something." I said, "We're trying to change this country. We're not trying to put it back in the Republicans' hands, because 75% of our Republican Party folks, they're all Democrats. These are Democrats, folks. Go look at Mitch McConnell. Go look at his family history and his background. He's a Democrat, folks. Go look at their history. Go look at their family history. Go follow their family tree. Know who you're voting for. Understand where they came from. This is imperative if we change our country, folks. It is very imperative that we do these things, and we must do it diligently. And there is no substitute for good, hard work. And I give you Christian Lamar as a perfect example of this. God bless every one of you. Remember that Jesus Christ is our Savior, and He'll save anyone that comes to Him by His grace. Have a good day, folks, and God bless all.
Thank you so much, Jeff. And yeah, every week, probably for the last 6 or more weeks, we've been talking early vote action and the work that Scott Pressler has done. We have been blessed to have met Christian Lamar along the way, and he is doing phenomenal work and sets a great example. And we've had a lot of great speakers in these spaces, and Jeff, you are one of them, and thank you so much, sir. I'm going to turn my attention now to Kevin, and good afternoon, Kevin.
Good afternoon, guys. What Jeff said is so true, and we really do got to turn our attention onto this. What's going on with our politicians? Look at the ones who have gotten rich while being in office. Those are the ones you need to vote out. Those are the ones that are making money off of at your expense. The second thing I'll have to say is I didn't want to do it, but I just couldn't sit back no longer. I got involved in politics way back when, but I sent the GOP a letter and said I want to be involved. I want to be a poll watcher, or I want to know how many seats are available for councilmen. whatever I can do, I got to do something, because I can't sit back and watch our country be destroyed by these lunatics any longer. Folks, we have all got to step up. We've got to keep an eye on these elections. We've got to make sure there's integrity. We've got to make sure that we got our people in there. And we got to vote these rhinos out. We got to get these Democrats sitting on the sidelines watching us make America great again. And you know what? Donald Trump's taking a lot of slings and arrows for us, folks. And he deserves our support 1,000% now more than ever. And you can call me a Trumper, you can call me crazy, you can call me a lunatic, but I'm going to vote. That man's going to get my vote. I don't care if he's in jail. And no DeSantis, nobody can make me feel bad about that, and nobody will.
I've been hearing a lot of rumor of people rising up in that manner, saying that they would just write in Donald Trump, and if he wasn't on the ballot. Larissa.
Hi, thank you, Maga. So I heard a couple ladies saying that they had to write their address on an envelope. My husband had to do the same thing. It was a manila envelope, and I didn't ask why. I don't know why I didn't ask why. Didn't think anything of it, because we have a lot of trust in people. Basically, probably that's why we have good hearts, and we don't think of questions till after we've done something, and that's just plain old being human. But I am going to call where I voted, and I'm going to talk to some people who were sitting there that day, and ask them why did we have to do that? So, because now I'm curious, get my antennas up. But I hope people keep voting. The children are watching us. We're the adults, and we have to lead by example. The children are sponges, whether or not you think they're watching. They're watching us, and they're going to see if we're going to vote. And we should talk to them about what's happening. Um, I'm talking about my 20-year-old. And when there's a younger child or a young man like my son who comes into a space and they want to talk about what's happening in the world from their perspective, I'm very eager to understand where they're coming from. So I just think it's pretty important to show them how much we love our country. And if they're not registered to vote, they got to realize that they're illegal citizens and they need to get their butt down to the voter registration location and do their duty. Register to vote. No excuses are acceptable. If you can't get there, call them and ask them how they can help. The upcoming elections are critical to the survival of our nation and its sovereignty. The integrity of those votes is sacrosanct, and your vote is private. But I did hear somebody say, if you vote, take a picture of your ballot. Take a picture of the machine that you're putting it in. Get the number of the machine. Can we hold them accountable that way? I mean, can we actually just take a picture of our own vote and have that be proof? I see pictures of people's vaccination cards all over Twitter. It's crazy. What happened to our privacy and HIPAA and that part of our lives? Why are we so openly make it available of our health history and our choices that way? That's all I basically got to say. Thank you.
Thank you. And Advocate.
So, Larissa, I've never heard of people taking pictures of their ballot, but I like it. What I encourage people to do is ask for a receipt after you put it into the machine, and it'll print out the machine number, the time, and then your ballot number, so you could actually track it online. If anything's ever fishy, that's what I've suggested to people, and to not leave the machine until it's like green or says whatever that it counted it. Yeah, that's kind of what I worked the polls last November, and that's really what we were encouraging people to do. And I loved what you said about getting the young people involved. So that was it. Thanks, guys.
Yep. If anyone's interested in working in doing that kind of work on the site, we do have quick links to become a poll watcher, poll worker, and also register to vote and all those things. So we're encouraging everybody to do that. If you haven't done that, check it out. I mean, if you can contribute and you want to get involved, there's some ways to do that. And also Scott Pressler's site, Early Vote Action, there's a lot of training there as well. So and he's more than available to offer that. Marlon?
So I'll have to tell you, this particular year, I had a problem with a birth date in 20. I straightened it out in 21, and 22, they questioned my birth date again. And when I just went to the primary, they did not allow me to vote in the voter roll. I had to do a provisional ballot. So in a case of less than 1%, that's the only time that vote will count. So there are many, many tactics that are being done to sway voters, especially in signatures and in the primary process. I do believe that the primary process is a victim of backing weaker Republicans by nefarious monies. I know this happens in my own state. So, these are the things that we need to really open our eyes and see what's going on and how it's being affected in the local level. And it's affecting me directly. So just want to throw that in there because it's happening, whether you want to believe it or not.
I just want to throw it out there. I don't think it's legal to take pictures inside voting places anyway. I know in most precincts they won't allow cameras. Yeah.
I took a picture of my provisional when I left.
You know what I'm saying? They won't allow you to film or take pictures of other people or your own ballot maybe, but they won't say anything. But I don't think they allow you to take pictures inside the polling place.
Go. Yeah, please. Thanks.
I'm sorry, Marlon. Did you call me?
Yes.
Yeah, I took a screenshot of mine too. That's my ballot, and I will, take a screenshot of it. So that's my ballot.
I guess that would be a pretty good tactic, taking a screenshot of your, taking a picture of it. I like that a lot. Hey, if it provides a receipt for you, would it stand up?
Well, that's kind of the thing, right? I mean, look at the system the way it is right now. So you think I'm going to trust you, and then they say, "Oh, there was a malfunction," or what? Well, there's no malfunction on the thing I took a photo of. Pictures don't lie.
I just don't know why that's not inconceivable in getting a receipt when you vote. I mean, you get a receipt for everything else, right? They're killing all kinds of trees to shove them in your pockets, but you can't get one when you vote.
Yeah, I want to welcome Rooftop to the floor. Rooftop, what's going on, brother? How are you?
Hey, good timing, Maga. I just stepped out of the shower, so I was trying to hold on to a mic, and hopefully he can call enough people before I got here. But yeah, I've been listening in and doing my part here, boots on the ground, getting the word out. I mean, it was very similar to going door to door to get people to sign signatures to try to recall a city council person in Camarillo for voting to defund the police. Getting signatures for the Newsom recall, but 2024 is the most critical election. I know everyone keeps saying that, and it seems like we hear that every election cycle. But I mean, this is critical. I'm glad Pressler is, he understands the overall strategy and the tactics. So strategy, long-term tactics, exactly how we organize and how we we strike back because, the other side is very good at playing this game. We know that. They have a plan in action. They have experience doing it. They have had results doing it. And
Ruth, why don't you go into what you did with the kids at that camp? I thought that was an excellent symbol, man.
yeah, there's all kinds of things. So I'm trying to do stuff in real life because, on the Aloha Snack Bar, I just try to get a few laughs. It's a Friday. All you patriots are there's a bunch of serious spaces. There's you guys are getting stuff done. Yesterday's space was just trying to get some laughs, trying to keep the morale up. But hey, the thing, a positive morale does help, right? Going into the weekend after a work week, we want to feel good. We don't want to feel demoralized. We want to mitigate for the voter apathy and the complacency. And there's a lot of people in California just giving up. They're like, why even care? It's a Democrat supermajority. But my friend Mark, who does jujitsu and martial arts, he said, yeah, we might have to make a tactical retreat, but we want to make it as painful for them as possible, right? We're going to fight back and claw for every inch and have some numbers up that may disappoint them. So I'm just trying to help with the voter apathy issues in, even in Simi Valley, Camarillo, there's some issues here, but there's a bunch of marksmanship courses called, it's a organization called Project Appleseed. I've only gotten involved in a few of these over at Pyru, but they teach basic rifle, marksmanship, gun safety, and stuff. And these are good ways to get people into the Patriot movement, MAGA, America First, right? So Magamission's involved. We're all, marching in the same direction on that. And when we give a fun activity that teaches skills and gets people into the Constitution in a fun way, that's a great way to go. There's another organization called Constituting America, and they even have a Twitter account. They do some good work. I think because I'm not on the East Coast, they have like field trips and visits, and you can go see, historically significant places in Philadelphia. You guys know the Liberty Bell, Independence Hall, DC. They can talk about the Green Dragon Tavern. I held a space called that, but it was a virtual space, not a real thing. And I don't think the real thing is there anymore, but they can kind of try to figure out the original locations where the Sons of Liberty gathered to agree, disagree, debate, discuss, laugh, have beers, and work towards the ideas of liberty. Because a lot of people say the discussion is useless, but we need to hone and refine these ideas and bump up against each other, and sometimes have the healthy disagreements and the points of agreement. Find out how to discuss and debate and move forward, because whatever the other side is doing, they're very effective, and we don't have much margin for error. We have to. We should have solved everything yesterday. I know Scott Pressler's already doing a lot. Magamission, you guys are doing a lot. Marlon, Gypsy, Caroline, what a fighter. TC, advocate. We got Alan. We have a lot of Squirrels, Sean, Chris. We got a lot of fighters in here. And, usually the question is in business operations is how to get the most out of each of us to get results, because I think everyone has the right good intentions, but they don't necessarily translate. We got organizational geniuses in this space. Look, everybody that's co-hosting, follow them. Follow Magamission. Caroline, you're so on point. You reposted that thing. I know we're kind of down on Fox, but Judge Janine said the perfect thing. In a very small soundbite, she was able to communicate exactly what's going on. And that message can resonate with people and translate into action. And especially if you win the psychological battle, you get people not demoralized, people energized, people upset about what's going on. And the most important thing, for people to see things clearly as they are in reality. In a world of mockingbirds and fake news and narratives and spin and moronic left coast people that I'm surrounded by, it's nice to know that, hey, I'm not going insane. The inmates are running the asylum and we need all hands on deck. So appreciate everybody, and Magamission doing great work. Gypsy, every time I wake up in the morning, it's like great to have it. Marlon, Caroline, advocate, TC, Chris, everybody here John, I know I give you a hard time about the big pensions and your ribeye steaks that you eat every night as a firefighter, and now you're going into politics. You must really want to have.
Easy.
Love your brother. Have a good one. And Scott, thanks for doing all that work on the ground. Alan, we'll talk about the Tennessee and the Black Hills another time. Everyone, I got to get going, but you all have a great space and keep on the fight, man. I'm glad that at least those of us here are not giving up on this great country of America. America first, all the way. Keep go Magamission, and let's get some of that results, right? Let's get it done, because I can rah on a speech, but I really hope this translates into action, because you guys are the best at it, and we're on the back foot, but we're trying to come out ahead, and it is possible. It is very possible. It's within our reach. So, John, I know you're going to respond. Thanks for letting me have a mic. I'm going to step down.
Yeah, I don't normally talk about people when they're not in the room, but Carmen Love has put in a lot of work, and she registered well over 7,000 to 10,000 new voters. So, yeah, she's putting in a lot of work, and I sent her a request. Hopefully she shows up, but if not, we do love Carmen Love. And Gypsy is meeting with Scott Pressler, so, and Marlon has met Scott, and it's been really great. That those experiences, will last a lifetime with us, and I'm sure in our memories and hearts. Caroline, welcome to the floor.
Hey, good afternoon, Matt. I'm really busy today with Belmont Day, but when you said 10 a.m. to me, I thought you meant 10 a.m. my time. You're talking 10 a.m. California time. Yeah, that's a lot more manageable for me. 10 a.m. this morning was not manageable. But yeah, thanks for holding the space, and I gave it a good shout out, I made it part of my spaces management today. But I like what I've been hearing. I had to jump out and then get back in. And I like what my favorite deplorable had to say was, about talking to people and not alienating people. Listen, I'm a huge advocate for we meet people where they're at. We meet people where they're at, and you got to know your surroundings. You know what I mean? And people want to tell you. They want to tell you about themselves. They want to tell you how they're feeling. They want, when you go around and you're like asking people to, whether it's you're asking them to vote for a particular candidate or you're asking them to switch their voter registration. I'm sure Scott, is totally onto this, or anything like that. What I learned the most is people want to tell you how they feel and what's going on with their family, and they want to know that you care about them. I want to just say a little thing that happened the other day. I had a person, a constituent. It's not my constituent. I'm not elected. But somebody in my district was in trouble, and they did with something not legal trouble, but it could end up being legal trouble because it was a financial thing. And they couldn't get help from their representative, our Republican representative. And, and they called me. Can you believe that? They called me and they said, oh, and they were very excited and, upset. You could hear that they were upset. And I said, well, would you like me to help you? And I was able to reach out, and I don't anybody get mad at me. I just happen to know the Democrat, state rep here, and they were willing to help. But see, that's where we're having issues here. Is the thing is the Democrat state rep was willing to help them. Like I built that bridge so the person could, get the help that they needed. But the problem is like some of the, not all of it, but some of the GOP is just, they're tone deaf, and they keep their circle real small, and they don't actually help their constituents. So, but that's not going to stop us either. That's not going to stop me. I'm jumping over those hurdles. I'm going around those hurdles. I'm not letting that stop me from, getting people to come on board and know that it's about saving our country, and, and telling them about who's running for office and things like that locally. I have a couple people that I really like, and I have a couple people that I think are going to be running, and I have people across the country that I'm starting to grab onto, and I'll be promoting them. And they are, obviously they're in the Republican Party. And so, so this is a good thing. But, the bottom line is, and I heard what Christian was saying earlier, he's an absolute fierce fighter for our country. And, I agree with nearly 100%, if not 100% of what Christian has to say. when he speaks. And so, but the main thing is, I think we want to meet people where they're at. We want to let them know that, they're just as important as any other person. And so it's promotion, not attraction. And, hopefully we can get it together and take our country back. I think, sorry, I'm a little bit distracted, but I wanted to say a couple of things too. Also, he brought up the Judge Janine. Yeah, I had reposted that. Yeah, I'm 100% in agreement with her. 100% in agreement. She has a powerful voice, and I'm really glad that she spoke out. And, I wanted to say that too. So thanks, Matt. Thanks for bringing me up. Thanks for letting me talk. I'm going to listen. If you need the mic, just take it away from me. Otherwise, I'll keep it for now. Thanks.
Well, thank you. Yeah, you're more than welcome to stay up here with us, of course. And yeah, the room posting time, it's in the invites. I usually pin it to my page, and it'll have the correct time where you're at. So thank you for joining us. I know 10 a.m. in your time would be a stretch, because aren't you doing stuff with your horses and stuff on the weekends?
Well, today's Belmont Day, so it's a big deal. Like, it's an extra big deal.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
What time post time, Carol?
Oh, it won't be till later for post time for the actual Belmont. I don't know, because we're not in the Belmont. It's just it's actually a really tough day for us. So we had early post today, 12:05.
Well, I really appreciate you coming in, and we have Magna. Magna, how are you? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good to see you, Magda and Marlon, and all the wonderful people. I get to poke my head in every now and then when I can, and I'm glad I found you guys today, because the subject matter is so pertinent right now. And good for you, Caroline, because I tell you, we have to reach across, and we have to get people to vote for what we believe in. And we can't force them to do it, and we can't hate them into it. So, guys, we're going to have to find some common ground where we can. Don't give in places that you can't. Some things are a moral issue, and you do have to stand up for a God, then country, then family, and so forth. Family, country, sorry. My family comes first for sure. Love you guys so much, and thanks for letting me speak. I'll hang out here for a little bit. I always have some wonderful things to say to y'all, because what a great group you are. So, all of you.
Thanks, Magnet. Yeah, I'm not sure really where we're going at this moment. I think we've circled around a couple ideas, and we brought up a few really good points this morning. I do want to turn attention back to just early vote action again, and encourage people to go and look at that site, and please donate to the cause if you can. And whether it's time or just showing up and saying hello is, great in this space, and that shows support in and of itself. But when you do work on the ground, you want to get active. The places to find those tools would be on that site. Marlon?
Yeah, so quickly, I think, a lot of the strategy to whether it's going to be Trump or DeSantis is that for 23, we can't see, like, most of the places or spaces that I can hear in and go in. Most of the talk is about Trump and 24. And, it's not going to matter a hill of beans if you vote in Trump and your state is a blue state. I mean, or even your local governments aren't set up to receive this help from Trump. Then it's going to take another 2 years after that to affect you directly. So we need to concentrate on the 23 to really have the public go out and get involved. I mean, we're losing time now. Okay. With some nefarious acts in the primary, you have to work that much harder. That's the problem. So, yeah, I mean, it's 23 is actually more important than 24. Whether Trump gets in there or not, for directly affect you and your local community, 23 is the way. So we got to set it up, and be honest with you, Christian's already laid it out, and some of the actions you can take to strengthen your own local politics. It is an uphill battle, though.
TC.
So, sorry.
No, it's okay. Caroline.
No, go ahead. I didn't see TC's hand. Go ahead and call on him first. Go ahead.
Thank you, Caroline. Just real quick, Shane Meckland snuck in here. I think he thought I wasn't going to see him. Just an FYI.
Yeah, I sent him an invite to speak. I hope he comes up and joins us. It'd be great to talk to him. I'd like to hear from him, and he always has some great insight and stuff that's going on right now. But, a lot of people are tied up, Caroline.
Well, I'm not actually tied up, but that's okay. Yeah.
Well, thank goodness you're not physically tied up and you're free to move.
It's not for a lack of threatening, and Gypsy knows what I'm talking about. Yeah, maybe some. Yeah. So anyway, for that. But anyway, that's a inside joke. But I just want to say on a personal level, because we see the vitriol, and I want to say it again. It's the politicians that are dividing us. We have so much more in common than we don't. It's the politicians that are divided. We need to be mindful, guard our hearts, guard our minds. Right now, what I'm doing is, anytime I go into any sort of a room or even a place at this point, and it's a totally negativity or people are fighting, I exit immediately because I'm guarding my heart and I'm guarding my mind. I'm on a mission. I'm on a mission to restore my fallen republic, and I don't have any room for this bad food. Like, the time for that is over, and so seriously, I'm cutting it all out of my life. Anything that is not fruitful or is not helping to lift somebody else up, you know what I mean? I'm just cutting it right out. I'm cutting it right out, and I'm being myself. I'm taking control of, of my day. You know what I mean? I don't let other people tell me who I can be friends with. Or anything like that. I know what's right. I'm 61 years old. If I don't know what's right, I know where to go to find out what's right. And so I think that that's very helpful too. I think that, we need to get rid of, it's just a small group of people in general anyway, that usually start up all this stuff. So I'm knowing that in order to be victorious, because I'm in competition sports and for a long time. And I can use that. I can use all of those tools that I learned to compete in every part of my life. Like if something isn't working or something is distracting from the victory and the goal, and what our goal right now is our liberties and our freedoms. Whatever isn't of useful or whatever looks like it's going to distract from that particular goal, I just get it right out. But I'd be tolerant. To my fellow brothers and sisters, right? Just like I always say, I'm on a 50-lane highway. The goal is my freedoms and my liberties and restoring my fallen republic. And there's people in lanes right next to me, and they want the same thing too, but they might be doing it just a little different way. And what I have to do is make sure that I don't veer off into their lane and run them over. You know what I mean? Because we all want the same thing, right? So with that being said, I see Shane's come up, and I'll go ahead and yield. Thank you.
Thank you, Caroline. Shane, good afternoon, sir. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Interesting. I heard a few things in here. Just know that every minute I spend on here is 1 minute less. I don't have a rake in my hand because I actually hate using rakes. But that said, I think Mama's down the driveway waiting for me. But something I think Caroline said was, meeting people where they are. I don't know if it was 2 years ago. I think it was February or March, whatever. It was still kind of in the middle of the lockdown era. And I hosted a convention of states meeting. And I don't want to get into the debate whether you're for or against it. It's not the point. Many of them didn't even know what the heck that stood for. And the largest convention of states meeting that was ever held in the state of Minnesota pre-pandemic was like 60 some people. And I hosted this at a local church. They allowed us to rent it. And there was like 365 people there, 360, something like that. many of them had nothing to do. Their grievance was nothing to do with convention estates. They were all over the board, whether it was lockdowns, whether it was education, whatever. It didn't matter. They just wanted to be heard, and that was one of the most important things. Bring people together, listen to them. We all want to be heard, and that is the most important thing that we can all do, because there are so many people. Because I'm an elected guy, but I get some of these, I guess, naysayers that email me back on my email updates or articles I put out. And one in particular would hammer me. And so this was like a month ago. And I just called him. I mean, I stalked him. I found his phone number. And he's an insurance agent, so his number was published. And actually, we actually met on 99.9% of things. His only biggest grievance was that I don't always put links to what it is I'm talking about in each paragraph. Like, well, it's a House file, X number, or whatever. You can easily look it up. Yeah, but it's better if you put the link there, because I don't have time for that. I'm like, well, we're in the last days of session. I don't know that I always do either. I mean, that's how simple it came down to. It's just, and then everything else fell into place. And thus why we have to bring some of these motivational people, which I'm sorry to do it to you again, Scott, but we do have Scott coming here in July. And I think it's going to be a bigger turnout than not, hopefully, because this is his message is very, very resonating with many of the people. And I think this is going to cross party lines pretty hard. I mean, I'm sure there'll be a few trackers there, whatever, it happens. But for the most part, I believe there's many people that I run into that are lifelong JFK Blue Dog Democrats that are all telling me this is way too much. So I think there's a fighting chance. And Scott, I did send you a text, by the way, because I want to do this every month and keep people coming here that keep the base motivated, and especially for what the current big buzz issue is. That is really flowing. I mean, we see what's going on with Target right now, and Target's a Minnesota-based company, so there's a lot of people reaching out on issues of that nature, where that whole thing goes. There's a lot of things on election integrity. We have people around here that are well adverse in that. So it's just a matter of bringing the people in to keep activating the base. And I'm with Scott. I've actually talked to many of my colleagues down at the Capitol. Whether it's DeSantis, Trump, whatever, that's something that's going to be figured out later. We have to focus on where we are now and getting the base to go. I think I sent Scott a thing. I have an image from the 2018 registered Republican voters that voted in 2018 versus how many voted in 2022 for the governor race. And we lost a whole bunch of them. And many of us have started to hear, well, we were told there was going to be a red wave. So, the weather was inclemental. It was cold and rainy. And it was kind of awful. It was a heavy turnout. So a lot of people didn't show up. And there lies the whole problem. I think yesterday in Scott's space, it was, if you're in southern states where there's hurricane issues or what have you. I mean, it was very cold and rainy. It was probably, 35, 40 degrees and wet rain, which nobody wants to stand on that very long. So this is the whole point of all this. I think we have a good message going forward. It certainly is resonating with people from independents, mildly left or right of either side of it, and or obviously the base is there. But at the end of the day, if we don't turn it around, there's nowhere to run. So I'm all in about bringing those that can help pump up the knowledge and the base and educate more, and also the energy. And I think a lot of people that I'm thinking about could help do that. So that's my take on it. We don't have a whole lot of 2023 elections here. Minneapolis City Council, which, trust me, that's not a place for us to waste our time. And I know it sounds bad to say that, but it's not going to happen. That one's a lost cause for the here and now. And not all the voters there, but as far as swinging the council one way or another, it's not there. So our energy is better focused on getting those voters out of that area to vote with us on, in 2024. But there may be some, and I'll dig into that. But that's where we are right now, and you know, I don't know. It's kind of where I come from, and we'll just keep doing it and try to raise money for all the different causes and get people across the line and keep bringing people like Scott and the others up here to keep the message going. I did give Scott a challenge. I did say, and back in the 80s, Governor Reagan won all the states except for one. If you pull this off, holy Christmas, do you have a heck of a shake to hang on your front door? So minor little challenge there, but humor meant in that. But nevertheless, thank you all.
Yeah, the space was great, and I was actually listening to it last night, and it's where do we go from here? I mean, I believe that's what partly was in the title. But yeah, some great stuff, Shane. It's funny.
Hey, one other thing, quick. One other thing, Scott. Since I know you can hear me, but we can talk. We can talk offline. But listening to all this that was going on last night, and there was some people in your space that you had probably interviewed with. This is the way it sounded. You were on their podcast or radio show, what have you. So I reached out to our local conservative radio that is out of the metro area, the Twin Cities, St. Paul area, Minneapolis, St. Paul area. And it sounds like they're willing to have you on, in the lead up to your arrival. So I'm just letting you know, I've already went there. So just know that you're going to do a radio interview likely. So there you go.
Thanks, Shane. John?
Thank you, Mega. Yes, Scott, kudos and thanks to you for turning me on to that gentleman in West Palm Beach who's now going to become one of our REC committeemen. I signed off on him as a sponsor, and one of my other cohorts did as well. So at the next meeting, he'll be brought up. I don't know if he's going to be voted in, but he'll be brought up. So very nice gentleman. I met with him face to face. So kudos to you for sending him my way. Appreciate that. I also wanted to say, too, that I checked with a couple of my legal scholars to make sure that this is on the up and up, and this is true. And I used it yesterday in a space that was filled with liberals that were ecstatic about our president being indicted. They were doing the happy dance. And so I threw into the mix, I said to them, that if he's indicted and he's convicted and he gets elected, he can pardon himself. You know that, don't you? And that threw the grenade into the room, and they just went ballistic. They all went nuts. So just wanted to share that with you guys. Thank you.
Well, it's funny, John, you bring that up because people were saying that Joe Biden's going to be able to pardon himself.
Caroline.
Yeah, so I didn't get to be on the space last night. I do spaces management. Everybody knows, anybody that knows me at all knows I do spaces management. I nurture my husband and my family home, my home life, because if I don't, then I won't have it. It's just like anything else, right? And so I make sure that I'm, doing that. So I didn't see I didn't see the space, but I saw a retweet, and it's something like, where do we go from here? Or something like that, and I'm sure I can listen to it. It was recorded. I think it's not that long either, maybe only a couple hours. So I'll make it a point to listen to it sometime during this week amongst my many thousand other things to do. But in any case, so what I do with everything in it, and it works, is I take an inventory. Where do we go from here? What do we do is we go down our own inventory and we take a look at what worked for us, what's working, where are we bearing fruit, and what am I doing? What am I doing that is working? And what am I not doing? Or what did I do and it didn't work? And I have to fetch myself up because of what didn't work, because I can't control other people. I just can't. You know what I mean? So, and it's useless. And if you think about it, if you don't take inventory, I mean, as a business person, if you don't take inventory of anything, any good business takes an inventory of what they're doing. And that's the way in my feelings is just like what I said before, I'm cutting out anything that isn't absolutely beneficial to my mission. And my mission is, as you all know, I've got a few of them, but my mission, as you know, is to, restore our fallen republic. And we can do that legally, ethically, and morally. It's them that are working outside the law, not us. And but they would like us, they would like us to toss that right out the window. They want to get us so upset that they want us to maybe for this time only usurp the process. And I think that that is not a good idea. I think that we need to hold to the process, because that is our written law. That is what separates us between the government and we the people. So even as tempting as it is to throw out the process and tell all the other candidates that they have to get out of the race, I'm not going to participate in that. But what I am going to do, I have my feelings. I know where I'm getting behind, and I'm going to refrain from saying that. But I also think that it shows exactly who they are. Like I'm a firm believer, as I stand strong. I hold my feet on the ground. I stand on the truth and what I'm doing, and I let them show themselves for who they are. Open tyrants. And if I get in the way and make a lot of noise and do something like throw away our due process, even for the because it's a good cause, this is a mistake, and they do things and then they justify their poor behavior. So I go right back to the same thing you always hear me saying: if your enemy is hurting himself, do not stop him. Thanks.
Don't let them destroy themselves.
Well, we've gone over a lot of different stuff. I did title the room, DeSantis, Trump, and JFK. I think there's a lot of things that are being said about that. It wasn't to bring up those topics as kind of like a room where we were going to actually argue about it. I think everybody's clear on where they're going. I don't need to try and direct anybody in any direction. I know where I'm going. And, I just, on that topic, though, some of the things I've heard that JFK or different people have said is just really to get people to just try to appear that they're bridging a gap, that they're kind of playing both sides. And I don't know. I don't know if I'm buying it. So there's just a lot of stuff on that I don't really want to get too deep into. But I think everybody's pretty set on where they're going. Yeah, Marlon.
Well, they're looking at JFK Jr. to be this bridge. In my opinion, does it?
Gentlemen, I really have to interrupt. It's RFK.
Yeah, RFK. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
We're just going to say Junior, right? So he's, if you look at what he's speaking about, he's trying to capture, this vaccine thing, right? So he's trying to say to everybody, look at what I'm an advocate against, and he's trying to pick up this vaccine thing to help him, gather steam to win his own primary. He sounds very conservative, but if you actually look at the way that he treats the 2A bill, he looks at people with guns and automatic or semi-automatic weapons. He thinks that these are guerrillas that live in our country, and he also has a stance about green energy. So I am an advocate against the East Coast Wind Project that's coming to every state. It's not just New Jersey. And if he gets his way, he would be able to come into this space and use this space to prosecute me for treason against my country because I'm standing out against a losing proposition for the country. So this is the problem with him. So when people look back, you're going to have to look at the way he's governed and the decisions that he's made through his political career to actually even try and capture an independent vote. These are the real issues that he's got major hurdles to get over.
Well, you're speaking about the green. Okay, we got a hand up. Kevin, Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just wondering if anybody else seen that they were coming after Matt Gaetz again, and what's your thoughts on that?
Honestly, I don't have an opinion on it. Matt Gaetz kind of lost me at J6 when he kind of came out against that community, and I've kind of had a bad taste in my mouth, honestly.
I mean, they're accusing the guy of what, being with a 17-year-old girl or something like that. I think this is something that's being rehashed just to try to make him look bad because he's on that weaponization committee. But you know how they do that. They'll smear you. They'll do everything they can. But I just they're just going to come after everybody that's for Trump, and we got to get ready for that because again, these people are just lunatics. I never thought I'd live to see this day, to be honest with you.
Well, let me ask you something, Kevin. Don't you think this is some kind of like division? You know, either you're for DeSantis or you're for Trump. You know, it's just another division tactic to, number one, split the GOP, not have them unified, right? And in my eyes, you know, what a waste of money that a primary would actually happen. Think about the amount of money that they're going to raise, that DeSantis is going to raise just to run the campaign against Trump, right? Which is a tactic by the Dems to drain the GOP, by the way. So secondly, could you imagine, like, now they're going to do all this mudslinging back and forth, right? And they're going to spend an ungodly amount of money. Wouldn't it be cool if the GOP stood up and made like a stance and took them funds that they were going to run the campaigns on and actually take homeless off the street? Let's get our veterans back in the VAs and get that working. Handing $210 billion over to Ukraine. You know, how many vets could you have taken off the street? How many houses and electric bills could you have paid? So, you know, let's start screwing around, and we're going to let these people come in and just run wild. And, you know, I think if the GOP doesn't make a stand like that, I'm losing faith.
I hear you, man, because you know, I thought that maybe they'd pull a stunner. I was praying they'd pull a stunner, and everybody in that race would say, "That's it. We're backing Donald Trump. He's the only candidate in this race. We're coming after the Democrats. We are going to take the House. We are going to take the Senate. We are going to roll you guys over because America is sick of this shit." I was praying, but when you got somebody like Ronna Daniels running the GOP, good luck with that.
Don't worry, I have a spineless GOP leader in my state too. I don't know which way you want to go.
Yeah, talking about Ronna Daniels, I was looking forward to my everyday daily check-in with Scott with her. And, you know, day 175, and you're just nowhere to be found, calling you out, nothing, no response. And then on the other end, they're kicking vets out of hotels to make room for people that don't even belong in this country. This is where we're at. You're making vets homeless now. Good job.
Fussiest. Good afternoon.
Hey, how is everybody? I like what Marlon just said about the money, the exponential amount of money that will be spent on the campaigns. Yes, they could use it to solve so many problems, but if they solved problems, they wouldn't be able to run on anything to promise to solve problems. I think it's totally ridiculous, and I am a data kind of person. I wonder statistically how many people change their mind because of the campaign. Does that make sense? Like, I know I'm 100% Trump. I was 100% Trump the first time. Actually, that's a little bit of a lie. I was sort of between Trump and Ted Cruz. But when Cruz was out, it was like, all right, I don't have to think about anything else. I don't have to watch TV commercials. I don't have to look at lawn signs. I'm voting for Trump. It's like the DeSantis people are the DeSantis people. They're going to vote for him. And, the MAGA people and people that have common sense are going to vote for Trump. Like, I don't know. I just think it's crazy the money that's going to be spent and how much influence is it really going to have. It's just a thought I had. Thank you for having me.
I love that thought. A dad thought. I love that.
Yeah, Marlon. And what I really like was the fact that you mentioned Ted Cruz. You never know what's going to happen here, but Ted Cruz, I could see that him coming back, or what he did, but he could do that again. Caroline.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you guys for having me into the space. I'm going to exit the room. I'm watching a few different things right now, and I've got to do a little bit of work. And I thank you again for having the space. It's wonderful, and thank you so much. And I'll be back again soon. I'll see you in the next space. God bless you. Love you. Oh, and happy birthday, Fussiest. It's Fussiest's birthday.
Happy birthday to you.
It was on Thursday. But that's okay.
Belated.
That's okay.
I get depressed on my birthday.
You know what? I get really excited up until that day. And that day, I just feel like it didn't live up to my expectations. And I feel like that every single year. Like I want flowers, balloons, people popping out of cakes. And like I didn't even get a birthday cake. My husband took my son to hockey practice. I sat home, I made rice, and I ate fish sticks. That was my birthday. And now my husband's going to pay for it. But whatever.
I think people go through a lot of different stages after each birthday, and I think by now you're in the acceptance phase. I hope you understood what I meant. TC.
No, probably for the last 5 to 7 years that people always go, "What do you want for your birthday?" And I say, "Just for everybody to forget about it, please."
Yeah, no, this last birthday, I went through a lot of introspection, and then finally, after a little while, it settled in, and I got to the acceptance phase of getting a year older. That's what I meant. Kevin.
I just turned 60. I never thought I'd see 60 when I was 40, but it happened, and here I am. And you guys, thanks for having this space. And definitely everybody should be retweeting this. The more you retweet it, the more people come in. I've been here for about, I don't know, 2 weeks now, I guess, 3 weeks. And I've seen this page grow. I've seen your spaces grow. And you guys have some great conversations. You have some great people in here. And, that's what it's about, guys. Getting the message out, talking about things. And I get a little hot-headed because I'm pissed off. I've been pissed off for 35 years now. I was an old man a long time ago. But keep doing what you're doing. Keep getting your message out. And, I don't have any doubt. God's with us, and he's going to carry us through, and we're going to win this.
Yeah, that's the thing that all of these, maybe the news and the tactics, the mind games is to make people apathetic and give up. And we did have an earlier speaker, who said that, and I don't want that. I don't want people to feel no hope. There is hope. You can take action, and there's one thing that would be 100% certain. If you sat back and you did nothing, then it definitely would not be a result that you would like. So doing something, you would think would obviously maybe do something against that. So doing nothing is not the thing to do, basically, bottom line. Stalin, good afternoon.
Hey guys, thank you for bringing me up. I just wanted to respond to the money comments. I feel that the process that we have as conservatives, as Republicans, it requires that because we have diversity of thought. We have a much larger tent than the Democrats have. They're all in lockstep, and we can look at them and go, God, wouldn't it be great if all of us thought the same? But that's their weakness. Our strength is our diversity in our thought, because it hones us to a much stronger, much better message, because we have a marketplace, a free marketplace of ideas, where they have a given on high what they must believe in. However, in our camp, we have to debate and come out with the strongest message. So, yes, it seems like a weakness that we're spending all this money, but I look at it as a strength. I truly do.
Marlon, did you want to comment on that?
Well, I do believe like it is a necessary evil. I do believe that, and you know that's the sickening part about it. Really, the only ones who make any money are the TV networks, the media, you know, these consultants that work both sides of the coin. That's who makes that money. That's why that campaigning costs so much money. It's because you have all these people that have to work with. I saw Felicity. Felicity, go ahead. You had your hand up.
I'm good. I'm doing something.
All right. Well, we've been going for a couple hours now, and I did want to thank Scott Pressler for meeting with some members of the team. He's going to be meeting with Gypsy, hopefully. And, you know, Marlon met with Scott, and that was great. And again, I before I close down the space, I wanted to just again encourage people to go to earlyvoteaction.com and check that out. And if there was anything that anybody wanted to bring up, they could feel free to do so, and I'll allow some closing comments here as we start winding it down. So the floor is open. Stalin, you got any last remarks?
The only thing I have is a request. If late last evening I started seeing in my feed reports about purging of the FBI of former veterans who are in the FBI being fired and so forth, but nothing in those tweets had any kind of reporting associated with it. Does anybody have associated reporting on that? That's all I have.
No, I don't have much on that. I didn't hear a whole lot. I mean, I know that they're under a lot of scrutiny now. You know, you can imagine the American people don't trust them anymore. So, you know, I think that's one of those pillars that need to be whacked down to the foundation and rebuilt, you know, along with the DOJ, the FBI, CIA. I think the CIA has caused more problems in this country than anything else. So I think those are the things that we need to be looking at with this new administration.
Hey, Gypsy, you're back.
I'm so sorry. I dropped out. I went and did a little rabbit hole digging for everybody. So I'm going to have a lot of good news to unveil on Monday. Went down the rabbit hole, but I'm back. But no, I dropped out. My phone died. Sorry about that.
Yeah, we're kind of doing a slow wind down. You know, I don't open fast. It takes about 30 minutes or so to get going and, you know, settle in. And then I don't close very fast. So I give everybody a fair opportunity to come up and talk if they want to. And on that, Marlon, yeah, what's up?
So quickly, I did post a tweet that I saw. Somebody that lived in San Diego, Southern California, said there was a good amount of heightened military activity, a lot going on in the port in San Diego. So if anybody would have any information on that, it would be good to know. I mean, it sounds like we maybe just want to have our heads on a swivel a little bit and watch what's going on in between the lines.
Wow, that's totally what I was fearing. Just gearing up for that. Hello, Squirrel Nuts. I haven't seen you in forever.
I thought Gavin Newsom called in the National Guard like about a month ago, for all the illegal immigrants that were coming in. But maybe I'm wrong. I had heard a report about a month ago. So it may have something to do with that.
Yeah, no, they were specific. A lot of military and Navy ships spread out all through the area there. It said 20 or 25 of them. So something's up.
Yeah, earlier this morning, Marlon and I were on the phone and we were discussing some stuff going on, and there seems to be a lot of military action that's been ramping up. And not only that, I mean, then we started to have kind of a discussion on, I let them know that they have unmanned subs that are basically AI controlled, if not AI controlled, remote controlled. So they don't need a crew, which would mean that vessel could be out and about in the ocean and, be out there for almost an unlimited amount of time, doing whatever and be weaponized. So you don't have any crew that you'd worry about.
Air, food,
Yeah, they don't need any of that. It's just a basically it's like a torpedo in and of itself, but it's armed with armament and also spy gear and stuff like that. And pretty silent too. They probably figure out a way to make that thing undetectable and stealth. TC.
Yeah, it's essentially a maritime drone is what it is. It's a UAV.
Well, everybody's been looking up in the sky at balloons. Look up here, look up here. Well, the ocean is a very deep and it's a hard place to track especially if you're using the depths of the ocean and scooting around. It's a big place.
So real quick to that point, my brother-in-law was in charge of the propulsion systems for the Arctic submarines, and they were electromagnetic driven. So they were driven. There was no bearings on them. They ran on a magnetic field, the shaft. So this way it could be totally silent. When they would actually detect for subs, even the little plankton in the ocean actually makes a noise, and they actually look for the blank spots. So that's what they're kind of doing to our phones, right? No, so maybe we won't even have a phone. You're going to be like a blank spot. That's actually how they detect submarines, Matt.
Interesting. Squirrel, are you there? Going once. Oh, there you
Yeah,
go.
I'm here. How you doing?
Great. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I don't have much to say. I come to these spaces on Magamission. I signed up to Magamission.org the other day. Just to let you know. I'm just a guy that works every day. Support his family. You guys, I try to follow because in your spaces because you give people like me that are too busy out there working and not paying attention to the news that much, which gives you bullshit anyways. The insight that you guys give and the information and where to go to look for things. I just want you guys to know, keep it up because you are starting to turn things around. It's getting so horrible out there. And this is the only way that we're going to do it. People need to get in these spaces to hear what's going on, find direction, and it's everybody like you. So, and I'm really too busy all the time to get into spaces. If I'm in a space, I'm usually on the computer just doing things and I'm listening. Once in a while, I'll grab my phone, I'll try to get in, I'll try to speak, even though I don't have as much to say as you, and I don't know the knowledge I don't have like you guys do. But I've seen a big change in this country, and it's getting really, really bad. And it's because of you people that we still have a chance. And I just wanted to thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Squirrel, there were a lot of kind words, and thank you. I see you all the time, believe me, and we just love the support. And believe me, it's really the audience that's educated. Man, I'm just an average guy. You hear my spiel. I'm a drywall guy, So, but I do have life lessons, and I've been through a whole lot of them. So we'll see.
Yeah, the wealth of knowledge that from some of the speakers that come in and share with us is really the part that I love so much, because I'm just a normal person like everyone else. I'm trying to find my way through the world just like everyone else, and I need to hear from people that are great thinkers as well, to enlighten me. So I'm learning every day, not just dropping what I find out or what I think. My opinion is just one opinion like everybody else's, but I want to hear your opinion. I want to hear what you have to say. So on that, I don't get to talk to Chris very much, but good afternoon, Chris. What a pleasure. How are you doing, sir?
Great, thank you. Thank you for the space of all the speakers and everything. I just had a quick comment on the San Diego and the California thing. One thing I've noticed, I've lived in the area for over 30 years. A lot of times, whenever major news breaks, people start paying attention to the military activity a little bit more. Not just saying it's necessarily more or less than what they would normally do, but that seems to be a thing. Something hits the news, and then everybody's on Facebook. Oh, I heard a jet. What's going on? So I would take some of that stuff with just a little grain of salt there. And as far as Newsom goes with the National Guard, I don't think they need the National Guard. I mean, most of the southern cities along the border are out there with gift baskets, helping these people cross right now. If you ever want to hear a little bit more about it, if you look up KUSI, that's one of our local news stations that's a little bit more right-leaning, and they kind of report on it a little bit more truthfully as much as they're able to.
Oh, how about that? That's a great nugget there, Chris. Thanks for that. Man, you don't hear that much. I can't tell you. I don't have a news organization here that I can watch. I'm sorry. I don't have a news organization that I can stomach.
Wow,
Well,
you're not lying.
Yeah,
Congrats.
it's great that Tucker has decided to break away though and come to Twitter. I hope he can continue, and that should be bringing some truth to the people. I mean, just the way he lays out, how the media, how you could turn truth from actual fact into some kind, narrative, and he lays it out so well in some of his work, how things get twisted and certain facts are being withheld from reporting to lead the narrative in a certain way and sway the public opinion in their minds. Kevin.
Yeah, I think we're going to get hit with a whole lot of truth when he starts opening up and coming out and really speaking his mind. I think a whole lot of truth is going to come out about things that we don't even want to talk about, folks. And when that does, it's going to open up a whole can of worms. And we got to be ready for it. I'm just being honest with you. That movie's coming out July 1st. And then there's a whole lot of people going to go, what the hell? This is the kind of shit that's been going on in our country and around the world. And if we can't come together for our kids, then we're doomed. So, keep your eyes open. Wake up, people. We live in a very evil world.
Hey, real quick, Marlon. I learned from my brother, my older brother. He's in the drywall, and but he doesn't call himself drywall. He calls himself a rocker because he says it's sexier.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean he's a taper.
Well, wait. Think I know what's the problem here. We're talking East Coast versus what, Stalin? Where's your brother?
He he was both. He was a rocker both in Oregon as well as Western Massachusetts.
All right. Well, we're going to go. It's an East thing versus West thing because there's soda, then there's pop, right? So some places call soda, some call it pop. Just like maybe a West Coast drywaller would be a rocker, and somebody on the East Coast is drywall.
Stalin, he was just an installer. He didn't do the taping in, right? He just did the.
No, he did the whole thing. He taped it, and it's not like I live in Texas. Texas, they don't know how to rock because everything the sheetrock it's all covered in a texture because they don't know how to rock. They don't know how to tape right. The seams are all off, so they texture everything, which is a pain in the butt to paint. But no, he would do the whole taping and everything.
Okay, yeah, it's a little more sexier. I get it. I'm into it.
Yeah, it's a West Coast thing, maybe. Just kidding.
Well, pop is definitely West Coast.
Look, when I went to Pennsylvania, they called it pop.
No.
That's what I thought. Yeah, I thought they were calling it pop. All right, soda.
That's the Midwest.
I don't know.
That's the Midwest thing, I think.
All right.
I just can't see a macho guy saying pop either. It's just not very masculine. I don't know, but that's just me. I'm a Southern girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's like the word cookie. There is no way you can say the word cookie and sound macho. There's just no way.
Oh, wait, give me a cookie.
Hey, TC, save us here. What's up?
You see, now you were promoting that East Coast, West Coast division thing, and look what happened. Now we're examining vocabulary, and yeah, good point, Stalin, on the cookie. Can I have a cookie? You're going to sound like a child.
Well, with that, I wanted to end on a happy note, and I hope I brought some people some laughter in their hearts at the end there. I think that there is hope. I believe there's hope. I don't want people to fall into apathy. I don't want people to give up. And I just want to say thank you to everybody who joined us this afternoon. It's, a short space, but a good space, and that's better than no space at all to me. And I just want to thank Gypsy for being up here, and Marlon, and Chris, and TC, and Kevin, and Stalin, and everybody who came up and contributed today, including Shane. And I want to thank Scott Pressler for doing the work he does. And just want to say God bless everybody, and Godspeed to everyone. And have a wonderful rest of your weekend. We're going to have more spaces. There will be, I believe, tomorrow. Marlon, are you holding a morning space?
I don't know. How about that?
All right. Well, but that's fine. You hold one Monday through Friday, but
yeah, I do run a space every day from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. East. So, yeah. And, there's a lot of familiar faces in here and some new ones too. So yes, please come and join.
Well, tomorrow we will be holding an official National Owner Operators Association meeting. Michael Boston and his team will be there. So that'll be 3:00 Pacific Standard Time. And that will be pinned to my profile. So if anybody wants to set a reminder and share that, that'd be greatly appreciated.
Can I
Yeah, go
can I
ahead.
say the importance of that space? Let me tell you. So on Tuesdays every day at 11 a.m. we run a trucker space, and we have these people from NOAA come in, and some of the audience comes in and joins. But I don't really think that people know actually how powerful these guys could be, and they could actually throttle this country and get it back onto the right way, and paying these guys, and they're rooting out the corruption in the shipping industry is what they're doing, and we're standing behind them. So thanks for that, Maga. Sorry, Steph.
No, it's a very important issue that the people should hear, because the truckers are the lifeblood of the country. I mean, if we don't have the shipping and the handling of all the goods we consume, and if they're not getting a fair deal and they can't operate, everything will break down. So NOAA is providing a tool, a resource, a community, a support center, something that can support an independent operator, owner, and trucker. And so, what they're doing is phenomenal, from providing insurance to broker, double brokering verification, setting an industry standard basically to operate from, so that they're setting an example of how they can create a model, if you will, for a successful owner operator, somebody that can actually have freedom, happiness, and the things that they deserve, and run a successful owner operator business, and or have a happy life. I mean, it's really, that's what this is about: the pursuit of freedom, happiness, and prosperity, bro.
Maggot, there's one more thing I want to bring, one element to that. And maybe this would spark people. You realize that in America, there is between 650,000 and 1 million kids go missing a year. Could you imagine those numbers? 1 million kids. Well, I can guarantee you that probably a lot of them are being transported on trucks. Could you imagine if NOAA took over and coming up with their own regulatory system and be able to monitor these things? Maybe they could change a lot more than just trucking. So, keep that in mind. I think that may be on their backwards list, but watch out for that one.
Interesting. Yeah, that's interesting you would say that. I think that because they're traveling from state to state and all over, and they are so, it's a huge, huge industry. That would be something that maybe that would emerge in time. I don't know. We can hope.
They say that's a $54 billion industry a year, human trafficking, right? That's more than the NFL is worth, the entire NFL.
Funny story. My mom is like loony bin, and she felt for certain that there was some sort of conspiracy with truckers and human trafficking. And one of the things that she used to point at is they all had the 53 on their trailers. I'm like, Mom, that's how long 53 feet. That's how long the trailer is. Oh no, it's got to mean something else. There's something going on. Yeah, she's loony.
Well, don't call me loony for saying that, because there's a lot of other people thinking that same thing. So maybe she wasn't so loony.
Well, look, I think people are racking their minds constantly to figure stuff out, not just from what's happening politically, but what's happening with the food industry, to what's happening with the fires that are going on, to what's happening in politics, the finances. Every aspect of our lives has some kind of something going on where people are trying to rack their minds to figure out how in the hell and why and what. And that's what I was talking with Marlon about this morning, actually. And that's how we got to these AI things and stuff that we were talking about, because, he was talking about the whales and and things like that. And I was saying, they have dolphins. They've made dolphins, literally a dolphin that swims around and does everything that a dolphin can do. Looks like a dolphin, acts like a dolphin, so, the acceptable amount of death, everything is disposable and replaceable. And what's interesting is that you can actually be replaced as a voter. You can actually be replaced as a commodity. You could be cast aside and discarded, just like an electric car would be discarded, like a bad battery, and replaced with a good battery, something that they can use up and throw away, just like everything else that's created now in society. And, you look at your furniture you buy from IKEA, it's nothing special about it. It can be disposed of easily, discarded easily, and replaced easily. Every single thing that you're seeing right now in the future is to literally take that thing and figure out how you can change it, automate it, and make it be either robotic or controlled by AI or whatever. I mean, from the cars to everything. And when we went down this trucking road, I brought up, the automated trucks and the automated warehouses. So what I'm seeing in the industry, and I work in an industry where I would see this, they have warehouses that are completely becoming automated, where all the packaging and shipping is taken down from the rack, put on the rack by sleds and robots. And then, when you have a truck that needs something, the conveyor literally goes and grabs it, brings it down, a little friggin' drone comes and grabs it. It stays on a track it has these magnetic markers, so it knows where it is at all times. There's no human interaction until it actually might get to the truck and somebody physically drives it to where it needs to go. You take it one step farther in the future, that truck's going to leave that place by itself without a driver, and maybe this little friggin' robot grabs the package out of the truck and drops it on your porch and takes a photo of it, just like the drivers do now. I'm just saying, everything from fast food restaurants, that's going to be a thing of the past. You're going to drive up to a place where a robot's going to make your burger and give it to you. I'm just saying, man, everything is replacing the human interaction part. So where do all these people go? Where do all these people go with all these jobs just displaced? What? You have more time to do poetry while you can't make a living? I mean, I'm not seeing it. I see a really bad. I don't see it as going in a good place, because if you replace the truckers, that takes out a lot of jobs. That takes out a lot of people with livelihoods and families and things like that. If you automate that industry. And when we brought it up, it said, well, maybe that's not going to happen for a really long time. No matter how automated we get, we need to fight for the human condition to remain. Because if we remove the human condition, or the interaction of a human in that equation, even if the truck can drive itself, there has to be a human involved on that truck. But then it goes into wages. Well, that person has to do less, and so they don't deserve as much. This problem just keeps circling around with automating things. And when we talked about replacing nature, literally replacing bees. I mean, so you imagine a world where people aren't concerned with destroying the planet, because everything that you see could be replaced by something that's automated or robotic. Then they can sleep well at night, because they don't care if the bees die. Don't worry about the bees. We're making those. Oh, the whales. Don't worry about the whales. We're making those. And I'm serious. You think I'm not serious? I'm talking like these people are getting so advanced, they're actually literally creating dolphins that swim. So
actually, you put a post of a bee in the building.
Yeah, I did. I put it up there. But the thing about the bees, okay, so like you take the simple like a bee does they're a mystery, how they navigate all these things, how they do their hives, all that is wonderful. But they primarily are pollinators. Without the bees, our crops would suffer, the world would suffer. We would probably die without bees. So they've already thought of that, and they're creating a replacement bee, right? To do that job, a mini little drone that'll pollinate and do everything that bees do. That function can be replaced. So what I was saying earlier with Marlin is it seems that everything could be replaced. Everything becomes disposable in the future, which means you're not as valuable as you think, because you too could possibly be replaced. And I'm not saying with a clone or whatever, but there's displacement and then replacement. TC.
All right, so you got me kind of with the bee thing and the dolphins. Is there any word on a prototype on Marlins, robotic Marlins?
I don't think it would jump as well. There's no way.
Well, they did do a prototype for, oh, I'm sorry. They did do a prototype for the bull. Remember, someone went to a bull contest and they had Gypsy Patriot, and it was a bull that no one could tame.
That's right. Gypsy Patriot tossed that guy in 7.3 seconds.
Well, look, when we're talking about physical replacement at this point of voters, you know, you have a porous border, you have people coming into the country, you know, there's no controls. You could imagine that if people flee certain cities and then other people move in, well, now you've basically replaced voters themselves. You know, going down that automated stuff, I was just thinking, you know, well, maybe the people that are doing the bad things, they can sleep well at night because, you know, they got a replacement for that. Something that can do that function in nature to where they don't worry about it. You know, it's like, it's the bees, big deal. We got little drones that'll do that for us, and everything's going to be just fine. Don't worry about it. So that's all I was saying. And, you know, as far as Marlins being replaced, I don't know what function they serve in nature to actually worry about. So,
oh,
you
thanks. Look, more emoji discrimination. This is great.
yeah, the little emoji discrimination teasing. Yeah, Marlin cannot be replaced. They're essential. Marlins. All right, guys. Well, we're going to close it down, and I just want to say again, you know, thanks for the slow close out, and God bless everybody, and have a great weekend. And we may have another space open very soon. And look for Marlin's rooms in the morning and Gypsy's rooms in the morning. They're great. After the Ground and the Gypsy Liberty Lounge. Thanks everybody, and we'll see you soon. God bless you.